Have you ever walked through the cold, fluorescent halls of a hospital and wondered, God, are you here? The monitors beep, the nurses rush, the families cry, and in that whirlwind of pain and healing, faith can feel like a faint whisper drowned out by chaos. Yet, it's in those same halls, where life begins and ends, that the presence of God quietly lingers, waiting to be seen. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? Hospitals are where people seek healing, yet where so many hearts break. Where doctors fight for life but silently battle their own burnout. Where Christian healthcare professionals carry both stethoscopes and spiritual burdens. Faith in healthcare isn't just about praying before surgery. It's about surviving the weight of compassion, fatigue, loss, and emotional exhaustion while still believing that God hasn't left the room. This video is for every nurse who wipes away tears after a shift, every doctor who feels their soul running on empty, and every caregiver wondering if their calling still matters. Together, we'll explore the sacred side of medicine, the unseen hospital ministry faith that keeps hope alive, even in the darkest nights. So, if you've ever felt like faith and medicine don't belong in the same sentence, stay with me. What you're about to hear might just change the way you see healing forever. When healing hurts, the silent battles of caregivers. Hospitals are often painted as places of miracles, where science meets hope and lives are saved. But behind those smiles and white coats, there's another story. A nurse might hold a patient's hand while quietly questioning her own strength. A doctor may celebrate a recovery 1 hour and mourn a loss the next. This is where faith in healthcare begins to matter, not as a Sunday ritual, but as a lifeline for weary souls trying to make sense of pain they can't fix. For many Christian healthcare professionals, their work becomes a silent prayer whispered between heartbeats. Think about it. How often do hospital workers get told to stay strong? Yet strength without spiritual grounding can feel like walking on glass. A nurse may finish a 12-hour shift tending to others' pain, only to go home and cry in her car. That's not weakness, that's humanity. It's where nurse emotional healing and faith-based encouragement for doctors become essential. They don't just need rest, they need renewal. A moment to remember that their calling is more than just a job. It's a sacred duty woven with divine purpose. And when burnout creeps in, as it inevitably does, that's when many begin searching for something more. Some rediscover their doctor faith journey through quiet prayer in the staff lounge. Others find strength in hospital chaplaincy faith talks or late-night walks through the corridors whispering, "Lord, help me keep going." These moments aren't just emotional, they're spiritual oxygen. And perhaps, in those exhausted whispers, something begins to shift, a clue to where we might find God next. Faith under pressure. When medicine meets the miraculous. In the rush of emergency rooms and the precision of surgery, faith can feel out of place. After all, medicine is about evidence, not miracles, right? But what if the two aren't enemies at all? Many Christian healthcare professionals are discovering that faith doesn't compete with science, it completes it. It gives meaning to the unexplainable moments, the patient who survives against all odds, the family that finds peace after loss, or the caregiver who feels divine calm in the middle of chaos. Finding God in medical work isn't about replacing facts with faith, it's about recognizing that both can heal in different ways. Take Dr. Sam, for example. After years of Dr. Burnout faith struggles, he realized that his exhaustion wasn't from overwork alone, it was from forgetting why he began. When he started praying before every shift, even silently, something changed. His patients noticed his peace, his team noticed his patience, and he began to rediscover his purpose, not just as a physician, but as a vessel of hope. This is what faith under pressure in hospitals looks like, not perfection, but persistence. The kind that says, even when I'm running on fumes, God still works through me. And yet not everyone in healthcare feels comfortable bringing faith into their work. Some fear judgment, others doubt whether God still shows up in modern medicine. But that's the beauty of divine mystery. It doesn't need permission to show up. Sometimes it's in a nurse's gentle touch, a chaplain's quiet prayer, or a patient's whispered, "Thank you." Every act of compassion is a glimpse of the miraculous, a reminder that even in sterile rooms and strict routines, heaven still breaks through. And maybe, just maybe, that's what leads us to the next question. What about the ones doing the healing? Who heals them? The healers who need healing, restoring the soul of the caregiver. It's easy to forget that the ones who heal others are often the ones most in need of healing themselves. Behind every calm doctor's voice and reassuring nurse's smile lies a human heart, tired, bruised, and sometimes questioning if it's enough. Faith and burnout in medicine isn't just a concept, it's a growing crisis. Many caregivers have learned to numb their pain to keep serving others, but numbing also dulls joy. That's why spiritual healing for nurses and mental health for healthcare workers are no longer luxuries. They're sacred necessities. Imagine a nurse named Maria. For years, she poured her life into others until her body began to break down and her faith felt distant. Then one night, during a quiet shift, she prayed, "God, help me feel you again." That simple moment marked the start of her nurse emotional healing. She began journaling between shifts, attending short hospital chapel services, and even mentoring new nurses through caregiver spiritual support groups. Slowly, the weight lifted, not because her job got easier, but because she stopped carrying it alone. The truth is, caregivers often think that healing means fixing, but sometimes it's about surrendering. It's about admitting, I need grace too. When doctors and nurses start seeing their healthcare vocation and faith as intertwined, they realize that their well-being is not a distraction from their calling. It's part of it. And in that sacred awareness, a quiet transformation begins. But as they heal, another question rises. How can they turn their pain into purpose, not just surviving, but serving from a deeper place of faith? Turning pain into purpose, the hidden ministry in medicine. Every hospital hallway tells stories, some of victory, others of heartbreak. But within each of them lies a hidden ministry that few talk about. When hospital workers and faith come together, something extraordinary happens. Caregiving transforms from a routine into a mission. A nurse comforting a grieving mother, a doctor sitting silently beside a dying patient, or a janitor whispering a prayer while cleaning a room. These moments are acts of service that carry eternal weight. They show that hospital ministry faith doesn't always look like preaching. Sometimes it looks like presence. One chaplain once said, "The hospital is the most spiritual place you'll ever walk into, even if no one says God's name." He's right. Every heartbeat monitor, every sigh of relief, every whispered, "Thank you, Lord," echoes something sacred. That's why Christian healthcare professionals often see their careers as a spiritual calling for caregivers. They're not just there to treat symptoms, they're there to touch souls. And that kind of work, quiet, often unseen, demands more than skill. It demands faith that persists, even when results don't. For many, this calling becomes a lifeline in itself. Doctors rediscover their doctor faith journey when they see that healing doesn't always mean curing. Nurses experience renewal when they realize they're part of something much greater, hope for healthcare workers who've nearly given up. Through hospital chaplaincy, faith talks, and shared moments of prayer, many find themselves strengthened by the very faith they once thought they'd lost. And as their hearts awaken again, a deeper realization dawns. Maybe faith isn't something we bring to work. Maybe it's what keeps the work alive. Finding God in the hallways, a new kind of healing. When the lights dim and the halls grow quiet, something beautiful happens in hospitals. Beneath the sound of distant monitors and soft footsteps, there's a sense, a whisper, that God never left. Finding God in medical work isn't about seeing angels at every bedside. It's about recognizing the sacred in the ordinary. It's the peace that steadies a trembling hand, the strength that shows up when sleep won't, and the hope that refuses to die when medicine has done all it can. That's where faith in healthcare becomes real, where belief walks the same corridors as brokenness. Many Christian nurses and doctors have learned this truth the hard way. They've faced nights when their prayers felt unanswered, when loss outnumbered victories. Yet somehow, faith endured. One doctor once said, "I stopped asking where God was and started noticing where He'd been." That's the quiet miracle happening daily, God showing up through faith-based encouragement for doctors, through a nurse's emotional healing, through shared tears that somehow turn into strength. It's proof that divine presence isn't found in perfection, but in perseverance. And when caregivers finally see this, that God is not only in the chapel but also in the ICU, the break room, the ER, something shifts. Faith under pressure in hospitals becomes faith that transforms pressure into purpose. The healing of the soul of caregivers begins, and from that healing flows a new kind of hope, one that no burnout, no bureaucracy, no heartbreak can destroy. Because maybe, just maybe, the answer to God, where are you in the hospital halls, has always been right here, walking beside you. So, after everything we've explored, the pain, the burnout, the calling, the faith, let me ask you something. Where do you see God in your daily walk? Maybe you're a nurse with tired eyes, a doctor wrestling with doubt, or a caregiver who's forgotten what rest feels like. Maybe you've prayed and heard nothing but silence. But what if that silence isn't absence? What if it's an invitation to breathe, to believe again, and to rediscover that sacred spark that called you into this work in the first place? You see, faith doesn't remove the weight of medicine. It gives you shoulders strong enough to carry it. The hospital halls may be filled with suffering, but they're also filled with grace in disguise. And when you realize that your hands are extensions of God's compassion, everything changes. Healing becomes more than a procedure. It becomes worship. Every heartbeat you protect, every soul you comfort, it all echoes eternity. So, as you walk back into those halls, remember this: you're not alone, and you never were. God's been there all along, in your courage, your compassion, your tears, and your laughter. If this message stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep walking this journey of faith and healing with us. Because together, we're not just learning about God in the hospital halls, we're finding Him there.